Whenever I see enough heads nod, then we'll take a vote on approval of the meeting minutes.
So I think there's a change required in the meeting minutes. In the minutes, and then in the letters, it makes reference to discussion in executive session on September 7th, but I think it should be October 5th, which was the date of our last meeting. I don't know if that was left in from the one before. Like on
The first sentence there.
page 2, under the first case, after discussion during executive session of the committee on September 7th, 2017, at the bottom. I think that should be October 5th. So it was the date of the last meeting. On the bottom of page 2. And then it's the same in the letters as well. References discussion on September, which I believe should be October.
And it's on page 2, page 3, and page 4.
Thanks for correcting my vote last time, guys.
We had a long discussion about that.
Well, I'll remember to say that.
With those changes, though, I move that we accept the minutes and the letters.
And I believe the change is everywhere where it says September 7th, it's supposed to say October 5th. So we've got a motion. We have a second.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. And was that just the minutes, or was that the minutes and the approval letters?
That was the minutes and the letters.
So a motion to approve the minutes and the letters. We've got a motion that's been seconded on the floor. Can I see all in favor?
Aye.
And I will abstain because I wasn't here. So next, we're ready to move on to the cases to be heard today. And if we want to, Penny, if you'd read the opening statement, go ahead and get that on the record, that'd be great.
Our opening statement. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Stormwater Management Committee, you may appeal the decision by filing a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the committee's decision. You are advised to seek the independent advice of legal counsel to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been satisfied.
With that, we'll go ahead and call the first case to be heard. And if staff would present the case, that'd be great. The representatives here for the approval of this case can come on up and sit at the table.
And Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Wonderful. We've got a recusal.
First case is 2017-000025, Vintage at Century Farms. The project is located at 5430 Cane Ridge Road. The parcel number is 174-000-06100. Inspector is Sean Herman. It's Council District 32, represented by Jacoby Adowell. The applicant's request, the case was deferred on October 5th, 2017. The request is to allow the following: Number 1, a permanent Zone 1 buffer disturbance. Number 2, a stream encapsulation of approximately 12 linear feet. The appellant is Old Acre McDonald. They're represented by Mr. Jason Deal. Comments are as follows. Stormwater, if the variance is approved, staff requests that the applicant provides treatment for the dog park in addition to the mitigation shown. Codes had no comment. Planning variance request is consistent with the SP site plan, and Greenways defers to stormwater staff for comments.
Could you tell me who you said the owner was again?
Old Acre McDonald?
Says Century Farms, though, right?
Who am I reading? I think they're the same.
Well, Century Farms LLC is the developer, made of Old Acre McDonald.
Okay.
Who's the owner of the property?
Century Farms LLC.
And it's an Old Acre McDonald development?
Yes, sir.
Worried about conflict?
Yeah, I've seen.
Okay. Trying to be thorough.
I'm actually going to recuse myself. I'm a partner in a law firm that does work for the entity that's developing this property, so I will hand over the chairmanship to you, Di.
I will accept it temporarily. Okay. All right. I'm sure I don't have a conflict right now. But I did acknowledge in the previous meeting that I used to teach this engineer on the next to last on the end, Jeff Cundiff. And I used to give him grades, so I think that allows me to have a little bit of freedom to participate. So, all right. So, if y'all like to start by introducing or reintroducing your proposal, please proceed.
Temporary Chairman Galbraith, my name is Tom White. I'm an attorney with Toon Entrican and White, represent the
Good to see
applicant
you.
today, and will comment that our engineer got good passing grades from you, which we hopefully you'll take into consideration today as you consider us equitably. But most importantly, we'll be brief. The committee did hear some lengthy comments about this when the matter was heard. And I feel like, in fairness, we were not fully prepared at the last meeting, but our group has gone back and together reviewed all of the minutes from October 5th so that we'd be absolutely certain what the comments were from the committee members. We took those into account. And principally, we were focusing in on redesign, which was a critical thing from the comments last time. So with that said, if you'll bear with us, the comments will be relatively brief today, but first, Jeff from Barge Wiring will cover matters, and then David Jackson as to some of the quality issues, which were also raised at the last meeting. So if you bear with us, Jeff, I'd like you to initially cover it.
Thank you. Again, I'm Jeff Cundiff with Barge Wagner, Sumner, and Cannon, here representing the development. As you're aware, we brought an exhibit with us here that I'm going to show just to kind of capture. I'll stay close to the microphone here. Can everybody see this okay?
If not, I got individuals.
If not, we have individuals. Everybody.
Our primary concern is that you get recorded.
Yes,
for
I
public record,
got it.
so.
Yes. So just wanted to review kind of the process and how we got to where we are today. Originally, we had submitted a plan to Metro Stormwater where we had approximately 85 feet of encapsulation needed to meet the stormwater requirements and get this project fit within the narrow piece of property that existed. We then worked with staff, tried to minimize the amount of impact, and came before you in October with approximately 30 feet of encapsulation. Since then, we heard your comments, and we went back to the drawing board, and we were able to modify the design in order to minimize that even further and now we've been able to get it down to where we're only asking for 12 feet of encapsulation of this water course. And you've got plans that illustrate this probably in more detail, but we want to just kind of show you just kind of what we've done over the timeline to get to where we are today. Glad to answer any questions about the detailed aspects of the design, but I don't want to bore you with any of them. So,
I think, Mr. Chairman, we'd appreciate if David Jackson could address some of the other issues which were raised about the quality of the water, and then we'll take whatever questions the committee has.
And before Mr. Jackson proceeds, I need to acknowledge for the record that I have a graduate student working in his office, so just FYI.
And he's doing a great job.
Okay.
Although he would
I'm sure he
appreciate good grades,
appreciates that.
too.
Okay. All right, please proceed, Mr.
Thank
Jackson.
you. We took a harder look at some of the water quality issues surrounding this stream that would be affected by the development, basically to determine what its contribution to the receiving stream is. The receiving stream is an unnamed tributary to Collins Branch. And I'll let Sarah Samaray, one of our biologists, who's spent quite a bit more time in the creek than I have, although both of us went out a couple of weeks ago and took this harder look, and I'll just let Sarah summarize the data, which basically is that from a biological perspective and an ecological perspective, there's not much going on in this stream. She'll explain why, but therefore there's really not much contribution to the receiving water. So go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you. And again, Sarah Samaray with BDY Environmental, and oh, thanks, Rebecca's got this queued up. So first of all, I just wanted to show you some images of the stream. These were taken on our site visit, which was on October 19th. And so this is actually the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek, just at the confluence of the stream in question. And so you can see this is the upstream view and then the downstream view. This is an intermittent stream, and it actually has flow in its upstream portions, and then shortly after this, it loses flow for a time. Next slide, please. And now I'll sort of walk you up the stream. So here we are. Here's the confluence. This is the trib to Collins Creek, and this is our stream that we've talked about. And these arrows will show the photo locations. So at the confluence with the unnamed trib to Collins Creek, you do have a little bit of standing water here. This is probably a seep. And then the second image is looking upstream towards the cave, and it just shows this is probably about 4 feet from top of bank to top of bank, and it's dry. Next slide. In this area, there is a standing pool of water, fairly small, and this is probably about 2.5 feet from here to here. So you'll see that the substrate, you do have some bedrock. We've got silt, cobble, gravel, some boulders. Next slide, please. And as we move up, I have not seen flow in this area. This isn't, it is a poorly defined channel here. You've got some places where it flattens out, but you've still got definition. It's dry. You can see here's bush honeysuckle coming in. There's lots of privet around here. And I'll just mention that, so we've got, again, the seep, the standing pool, dry reaches, and in these wetter reaches, it sort of loses flow. Next slide. This is the point at which we lose most of the flow in this breakdown. The soil is damp in the middle of the channel here, but there's really not much is offering habitat. Next slide. And then you have this little channel. This is probably 8 inches to 1 foot from here to here, where you just have small trickle flow. This part of the stream was actually impacted. Trucks have driven over it, and this is the location of a barn. So this area was sort of cleared, and they would drive through here. Next slide. And now this image is facing downstream. You have a standing pool of water here, but this is what the channel looks like as you get closer to the cave. Next slide. And I believe this is a view looking upstream where you can see just a tiny bit of flow right here and right here. Next slide, please. And so what you've got, this is, facing the cave, and pardon this little break, I think I was using my iPhone to take a panoramic photo, and I think I hit a branch. But it's really hard to capture what the cave and the surrounding area looks like, because when you're close to it, you can only get a small image in the frame, and I think there are some images like that in the package. But the stream comes out of the cave here. Most of it loses flow, so you've got a pool and trickle, and then you've got where flow sinks beneath the rocks. And if we can go to the next slide. So this is standing at the end of the point of impact, so the cave would be 12 feet behind us at this point. And this just kind of gives you an idea of how the cave walls sort of come around. You've got a bluff, so when you look to either side, you see rock. And again, you can see just a little bit of flow trickling through. Okay, next please. So what we did, we took a YSI water quality monitor, and we took readings in the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek just upstream of the confluence with the cave stream. And then we took readings in the cave stream at the mouth of the cave where there actually was flow. There was a difference in temperature. We found that the temperature was slightly higher. I'll go ahead and use Fahrenheit. So a little more than a degree higher in the cave stream, which is not typical of what we'd expect. You'd expect the cave stream water. Caves are about 55 degrees. Of course, it's not in the cave, so it may be a little bit higher, but I would not expect water coming out of a true cave spring system to be warmer than the water at ambient temperature. And just to mention, in the days preceding our site visit, I think the high was in the low 70s and the low was around 42 degrees. So that's a little curious, and that leads us to believe that we think there is a stormwater component to the water coming out of the cave. Conductivity was higher in the cave. Dissolved oxygen was also a little higher. pH was higher, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure why. It may be because it's coming out of, the water's coming out of more limestone, although the water in the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek is coming across limestone. So this doesn't provide much, but it does provide the temperature data. So we really don't know what the source of the water is, but it's probably the stormwater. It's not a pristine cave stream habitat. And next slide, please. We also looked under rocks and under banks to collect benthic macroinvertebrates because they're indicators of water quality. In the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek, we found lots of these flat-headed mayflies and the Heptageniidae. Those are indicators of good stream habitats. We also found gill snails and the Pleuriseridae, another aquatic indicator. We found side swimmers and aquatic sow bugs, amphipods and isopods. And we found lots of these. So the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek does provide a lot of good habitat. It's got a nice flat bedrock substrate and boulders and cobbles for habitat. In the cave stream, a lot of it's dry, and when you do have flow, it's just trickling and seep flow, so there's not a lot of habitat for these organisms. In the pools, we did find some amphipods and some isopods, but we're not seeing the higher quality indicators that we saw in the unnamed tributary to Collins Creek. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll close the presentation, answer any questions, but again, looking and reviewing the October 5th meeting, issues were redesigned and really what was the detrimental effect, which I think we've tried to address today. There were also comments about algae, and I think you could see a tremendous amount of algae in these pictures, which were also observed by our people when they went out there and looked at it. So we'll answer questions, but I believe we've at least attempted to address, I think, correctly the issues that were raised last time, and we'll answer any questions. We think we qualify for the hardship.
Thanks, sir. Well, at this time, we're going to give people an opportunity to speak for the proposal and speak against the proposal, and then we'll give the applicants a chance to respond before we start our discussion among ourselves, since that's our common practice. So is there anyone here who'd like to speak for the proposal? Please come up to the mic. Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone who'd like to step up to speak against the proposal? All right, seeing none. I think we're ready for committee discussion. So what kind of questions do you all have?
I mean, it looks like they provided the information that we'd asked before, a lot of it involving the quality of, or the impact of what's there. And I think they have reduced the length of this encapsulation. Is it 12 feet now? Is that correct? So, I mean, I think they've answered all my questions. I feel comfortable with this.
I agree. I think you did a great job of reducing the encapsulation. I appreciate that.
Okay, I want to invite staff to comment on anything they've heard. We have had some adjustments from what we saw previously. There's still a small bit of encroachment on the Zone 1 buffer, and that involves encapsulation as well. So what concerns does staff have? Was there anything unresolved in your all's dialogue with the applicant that you'd like to raise at this time?
There wasn't anything unresolved.
What about the ammonia issue from the dog park? I saw a reference to that.
We had asked for them to provide a form of treatment for the dog park, and I think at the last time they talked about the doggy DNA service, I believe. Do I have that right? Okay. And we've also looked at, possible treatment, just ways that they could treat that park to help with the runoff.
So are you satisfied with what they proposed to do in that regard? Do we need to make any particular conditions on a potential variance?
I think that's what they have here, is basically.
Right. We have it listed as that's what we would like in the initial write-up, is to
Yeah.
So someone
provide
can
some
add that
sort,
if they want to put that in the motion.
to the mitigation, yes.
Okay. So before we consider a motion, I just want to ask one question. I assume you all didn't test for fluoride or any other chemicals to see if this was coming from a public water supply line?
We didn't, Dodd. We didn't do any chemical analysis, just the field chemistry. But as Sarah pointed out, the field parameters are funky for groundwater. High temperature, high DO, really high pH. So we don't think it's a representative discharge of groundwater.
But we do appreciate you avoiding the buffer, and that's frankly our main focus of this discussion. So anybody got a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the application as submitted, that include the staff's condition that they provide mitigation for the proposed dog park.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by like sign or similar sign. All right, motion passes.
Thank you for your courtesies.
Thank you for efficiently presenting it. Mr. Chairman, we're ready for you.
I'm glad I didn't go outside. I thought that was going to be a long one, seeing as it got deferred last time. I've never seen one get deferred the next time come in and be like that.
We do train them well.
That's pretty good. All right. It's time for the second case to be heard. Applicant Van Buren LLC. If the staff wants to read into the record the case description, that'd be great. The applicant's welcome to come up and sit at the table.
The second case on the agenda is case number 2017-00028, 91 Van Buren Street. The parcel number is 08205015400. The inspector is Denise Johns. This is in Council District 19, Freddie O'Connell. The applicant's request is to allow the following uncompensated fill in the combined sewer area. The appellant is Van Buren LLC, represented by Mr. Jay Fulmer from Fulmer Engineering LLC. The comments are stormwater. Staff comments are as following. Staff recommends appellant to provide a method for adjacent properties to convey runoff to the MS4. Codes had no comment. Planning, the site is zone IG, defer to stormwater, and Greenway defers to Public Works comments.
Thank you very much. We'll turn the floor over to the applicant.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing this today. We've got on this property about 1,900 cubic yards of area that is below the river floodplain elevation for the 100-year. It's separated from the river by, a levee and higher elevation property. So, it's disconnected from the river, and so it's subject to flooding due to surcharge from the combination sewer. It's very similar to a couple other cases that I know you've heard in the last couple of years that are along the same tributary. But this site has also got some contaminated soils, and so we're entering into the brownfield program, which limits what we can do from a green infrastructure perspective. So what we would like to do is fill this area to keep it from flooding due to the combination sewer. The property owner also has a project on the east side of Adams Street where they're installing stormwater to alleviate the storm going to the combination sewer. And by filling our property, we're going to be able to connect our storm to that pipe versus discharging to the combination sewer. So it'll be beneficial and help relieve the treatment plant a little bit. When we were looking at mitigation opportunities, since we can't do much green infrastructure due to the brownfield, what we had offered was to capture one of the roofs. There's about a 3,000 square foot building that we're going to put to a cistern. Since staff has recommended that we extend our storm network to the south, and that'll allow the property to the south, when it develops, it's currently undeveloped, it'll allow it to tie to the dedicated storm line. One thing I'd ask for you to consider is to allow the extension of the storm line to be our mitigation versus the cistern. What we'll do is make sure that we're using a water quality unit to satisfy water quality requirements, and we'll make sure that it's sized appropriately to carry the flow from their site as well. And so their site will, it'll independently provide treatment, but it'll also get treated by our water quality unit. And so it provides an extra method to treat their stormwater. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you have anybody from the public here to speak for or against the project? Seeing none, we'll start some deliberations. We're going to have to take turns, guys. Y'all can't all speak at once.
I think we're afraid of setting a record for completing fast. So, I'd be interested in hearing what staff think. I agree that we don't want to contaminate public waters with contaminated soils. So that has been a barrier to a lot of green infrastructure around different previously developed sites in Nashville, and it's an appropriate concern. So
So, Chairman, Dodd, you're correct. They did actually apply for a LID waiver, and it was approved based on the brownfield. So we were on board with the same ideas that you're talking about. It's good to mention as far as the meeting that they do have a LID waiver, but it's not part of the variance. That's something that we were able to approve administratively.
So what's your opinion on the variance?
Well, there's fill in the floodplain. Directly or indirectly, I think a lot of this gets flooded by the combination sewer. And it is on the Cumberland River. So I don't want to say that to diminish the fact that they are asking for uncompensated fill, because collectively it's important, even on the Cumberland River, about uncompensated fill. But there is definitely a benefit to connecting onto the storm pipe on Adams. And that will take river out of the CSO and into the Cumberland River. And additionally, the property to the south of this doesn't have road frontage onto Adams Street, where the new infrastructure is being proposed. So adding a storm line to accommodate even the property to the south to redevelop and get out of the CSO was also an extra benefit.
So it's fair to say that the extra stormwater infrastructure benefit probably doesn't offset the fill completely, but it's the best we can do considering all the conditions associated with the site.
So we had to look at it internally and decide whether the fill is worth it to get the water out of the CSO, or whether you want to keep the property low, let it potentially flood, then make sure their buildings are properly designed, and then they'll tie into the CSO. So there's both viable options, and I'm sure the applicant will proceed forward with either way. But they did choose to fill and take their water to Adams Street, which goes into the river.
What alternatives did you look at to not leaving fill on the site?
Very low elevation, which would create it to be subject to flooding with combination sewage and stormwater. And so, that obviously has a pretty negative impact on, to many people and to the public who might be visiting the site. But it's not a volume that will have an adverse impact on anybody adjacent to us. And so it's really just more beneficial to raise it up and keep the sewage in the pipe versus allowing it to spill on the site. But really our alternative is to compensate, or is to balance. But being that it's not adjacent to the river, it is connected by conduit, we feel it's more beneficial to fill it.
I know typically, I hope this is an appropriate way to characterize it, but every applicant has a parcel by parcel lens that they view their proposed impact through. And they always describe it appropriately as, my proposed impact is small. And one of the challenges that we have as a board is that if we grant multiple variances, eventually we're going to have multiple small impacts that add up to a large cumulative impact. And tell me if I'm misunderstanding you, but it sounds like you're saying you want to keep cars dry in exchange for the floodplain storing floodwater, even though some of that floodwater is created by infrastructure that can't carry excess flow.
In part, yes. We'd like to keep the combination storm and sanitary water, away from the public. There's value in that. We'd like to, alleviate the sanitary system as much as possible. But really, the hydraulic grade line gets above the elevation of the surface. And so if we can pick the surface up and keep it in the ground, then this area, it's not that this area is needed for storage. It's just that system's so overwhelmed that it's coming out the inlets and coming out the grates. So if we can pick the ground up, I mean, it's similar. It's similar to what they did at Capitol View, and it's similar to what they did at the baseball park. And this is a much smaller scale, but it's the same theory, and we spent a great deal of time, studying that theory and that aspect on those projects. And so it's a similar application, and there is a cumulative effect, but it's not so much that we're pushing flood water onto somebody else. It's more that we're keeping the water in the pipe or keeping it underground.
I will add that this is not a mapped floodplain through FEMA, but it is a low-lying area.
But they wouldn't be here for a variance if it didn't apply, right?
We looked at the elevation, and it was set below the 100-year. So indirectly, there is fill in the floodplain.
FEMA considers it a 500-year floodplain area.
Okay. I mean, I'll say this as one board member with one perspective, and that is, post-2010 flood, we need all the floodplain storage we can get. New infrastructure connects are not going to compensate for this fill, particularly if we repeat this practice at multiple sites. There does appear to be a viable alternative to filling in the floodplain, not an ideal alternative. That's not a hardship. Because that alternative exists, this is more of a convenient base type variance proposal to me, but I'd love to hear other opinions on it as well. So,
Steve, is that how we always do it? We look at just the elevation? I thought we looked at whether or not it was actually mapped by FEMA.
No, see, so the FEMA flood map is, it gives you the elevation, but you always go to the contours and you look graphically.
So when we're applying our regulation, we look at it on the actual,
yes, sir,
by the contour.
And this one's different, just like Jay was saying. It's very similar to Capitol View, but because it's really through the conduit itself it's backing up and stuff. It's not direct connect, but it is there.
And if we can't connect to the storm system in Adams, then when that pipe's blowing full and the rain's falling down, it's never going to get in the pipe. The pipe's going to be full. So we've got no way to get the water off site, which just creates more flooding. So if we're able to fill the site and drain to the storm line, then the site can be dewatered and it can drain to the river.
What type of facility is this?
It's going to be a retail. There's a portion of retail. There's going to be a little fitness area. There's going to be a bar at the southern end. So there's about 6,000 square feet of building in the northeast corner and about 3,000 in the south. And so it's a active public venue essentially.
And by filling, you're able to put this pipe in there and actually move water off the site, which otherwise will just stay there.
Right. The elevations on site are about a 412, and that's about the same invert elevation that's in Adams. And so if I can't fill that site, then I can't get the water to the pipe. And so I'll end up connecting. There's a combination sewer line that bisects this property. There goes straight up the middle property line. And there's another combination line that goes underneath the greenway on the western side. So on the west of the site's the greenway and then a railroad track.
Do we know the frequency of flooding on this site? I mean, is it 100-year elevation, 50-year, 25-year?
The 100-year elevation, when you project it from the river, is about a 414.7, okay. And the lowest elevation on site is about a 412.
Okay.
The owner, he's owned it for only about 2 years, but he said he's never known it to flood. But the only way it could flood is through the backup of the combination sewer.
So if it were to flood, then the primary water that would be on this site would be from the combination sewer, is that correct?
That in conjunction to whatever rain's falling on top of it. But
I noticed that, I guess y'all had a meeting like you normally do, minutes. I had the minutes when y'all met initially. I guess you went to the site, looks like there were three staff members that sort of preferred what you're talking about, and then one that did not.
Right.
And I think there's two ways to do this. And I tend to somewhat agree with what you're proposing.
Rebecca, maybe it would help if you could back off the site and apply the contours. You know, that's the 2010 flood.
And I think it'd be helpful to know that the existing building out there is lower than the 100-year elevation, and there's people using it right now, and they haven't had any flooding issues.
So the yellow line is the proposed site? Okay.
That's the site, and it also comes up and captures the building and the silos that are at the northeast corner, or, well, southwest corner of the intersection, but, you know, north of those trees.
I mean, there's a property rights aspect to this too. You know, when we raise a lot that floods now, infrequently, but that floods, it's going to push more water off on adjacent properties. You know, the fact that it floods because of the combined sewers now says that connecting to that sewer system, that stormwater system that's already not functioning completely, is not going to make it better. It might make it better on that one site, but it's going to make it worse for somebody else. You know, if you don't store it above the ground and you try to push it underground and there's not enough room underground to store it, it's going to pop above ground somewhere else, on somebody else.
I thought that was a different system. The one you're going to pipe to is the same system, is not the combined?
No, there's a dedicated storm pipe that connects to the Cumberland. And so we're going to drain our entire site through a water quality unit that ties to that and goes to the river. And with this, what we're willing to do is extend that storm pipe to the neighbor to the south, because when they develop, they've got a very small area, but it's right around the manhole that's below the floodplain elevation. None of the rest of their site is, but they'll have a storm pipe that they can use to do the same thing.
And the elevation of that system is not going to be flooded by the 100-year, right?
It's got to be. It's going to the Cumberland.
Yeah, it'll be below the 100-year elevation, but when they if they fill their site too, then the water from the combination sewer should stay in the pipe. It shouldn't surcharge.
No, I'm asking about the water that you put in the new pipe.
The water that I put in the new pipe will go to the river.
Will that surcharge?
Only if the river is at, a higher elevation.
It would have to go way above the 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And so with, putting the pipe in that the neighbor can use, we'll end up having to put that in an easement, and we'll also have our water quality unit sized so it can treat their site in addition to ours. Because their site's about 3/4 of an acre.
And the way I'm seeing it, Doc, is it moves the water out of the combined and just puts it in a new storm. It's still under there, but it's now putting it in a better position.
I guess I don't understand. I'll acknowledge I misunderstood which pipe it was going into. I just don't understand how the new pipe can function when the Cumberland River is flooding.
We would just hold. It's higher, so it's going to hold more. The combined is below the 412. The new one's going to be below whatever they're going to. The new one's higher. The new pipe's higher.
And there's a significantly larger area going to the combined, and so the combined gets full quickly.
But the new pipe doesn't have enough capacity to hold all of the water that's currently stored on the site during that flood condition, right?
It's disconnected. So the Inuits and Adams, the area that's the yellow that's highlighted on that sheet is the lower portion of our site. There's also a box that's to the northeast of it. That elevation's higher, so it's disconnected from the storm pipe.
But you're not answering. The answer is,
provided within the
yeah.
pipe that you're proposing.
Is the capacity the same?
I'm not sure I'm understanding
Yeah,
that.
what size pipe would you be putting in?
I think it's a 24-inch.
And what's the length of the pipe?
Yeah.
200 feet probably.
So that's his question.
It'll be less than the volume.
Okay.
But
that
in your
that we're
calculation
filling.
of 1,900 cubic yards, you didn't subtract?
No.
Okay. Small amount, but.
Right. All right.
I, I, I- 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 I
Any other discussion? I'll make a motion to approve as is. The reasons being, I believe the benefit of getting the water out of the combined outweighs the fill going in.
May I add a clarification, just while you're making a motion? Our plan as is does not show the storm connection to the south. In our package did include the cistern on the small building, and so I don't know if we can offer the storm connection to the south for the neighbor in lieu of the cistern.
Is that what staff thought? We were doing it in lieu of the cistern or both?
The cistern was something that the applicant suggested that they would do. You know, we had thought about pervious pavement and all sorts of other LID kind of features, but being that it was a brownfield, that really limited on what we can do. There was a staff member that suggested that they extend a storm pipe to the property to the south, because they don't have the luxury of having a property adjacent to Adams Street. So by extending the storm pipe to the property to the south, whenever that property redevelops, they also have the same opportunity to connect onto a pipe that goes straight to the river instead of the combined sewer.
And the water quality vault would be on that?
It's on our property.
Yeah, but it would also treat the off-site water
Right.
coming through.
And so when we made the offer for the cistern, I hadn't thought about extending the storm pipe, and I wish I had, because I think that's a much better form of mitigation.
So are you offering now to extend the pipe and the cistern, or just extend the pipe to the south?
I would prefer to just extend the pipe to the south. The cistern would treat a 3,000 square foot roof, so it's not a, you know.
It wouldn't handle all the water from the south, is what you're saying?
No, the roof water from the building would drain into an above-ground tank, and then they would reuse it for irrigation or other purposes.
I'll hold my motion for a minute, see if anybody's got any comments about the cistern issue.
I just didn't know if staff would need to relook at that, or,
I think the math doesn't work. I mean, I think our primary concern here is that either we get an equal exchange of storage, or we shouldn't approve it. And I think he's already confirmed that even with the cistern, it won't hold what's currently being held above ground. I don't have a problem with the pre-existing land use. I mean, that's a property right. That's a common cultural practice that we've kind of grandfathered in. But I do have a concern with pushing more water off on adjacent property owners.
I know years back, we looked at another site. It seems like it's a much larger site that was served by combination sewer too. And did we not grant similar variances? Do you recall that one?
11th and
We had a
Charlotte.
pretty lengthy discussion, and they provided analysis showing that the water would not have an impact on upstream development.
Significant.
Profiles.
By
Yeah,
surcharging.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
the issue was it would have a negligible
Yes,
impact.
that's right.
Was what was how the testing came.
Tolerance of the model.
Yeah, it was the tolerance of the model. That's why the discussion lasted as long as it did.
And I think we all agree that these models don't calculate multiple storm events. You know, the model chooses a storm event that is a regulatory basis for the model, but that's not life. That's not what adjacent property owners deal with. Adjacent property owners deal with different storm events, and if the site that previously stored water is no longer storing that water, they have to accept it, and they didn't ask for it. And that sounds like a kind of an unfunded mandate to me on that property owner. So I just don't think it's fair. I voted against that project in the Gulch that we're talking about right now, and I'm going to have to vote against this one. So.
So do we have a motion? Do we stop, or did we stop short of a
We
motion?
have a motion without a second.
I don't think you finished getting it out. You withdrew your motion?
Yeah, I withdrew my
Okay.
motion to get some discussion on the
All
system
right.
deal. Do we know what would be the volume of water on the entire site for the 100-year storm? Do we know that?
As far as,
Just the entire volume, put a 100-year storm down that thing.
I'd have to calculate it. You know, the property is, I think, an acre and a half, and So we could run an inch analysis and get that figured out for you. But
I mean, I think if you took that number, compared that to what the volume in the new pipe is, that in fact you could prove that it's actually taking water out of the combined system. That's where I see this going. To me, that issue, which maybe it's not dollar for dollar, but it's going to be real close, maybe. But that combined with the environmental positive effects this has, to me, especially on a site that's visited by the public. I mean, you got a bar and a restaurant on the other side. I just think so. I'll go back with my motion. I'll motion to approve with the to include staff comments and then also include a pipe that extends to the south so that the property to the south can hook up to the new storm system.
And what about the cistern?
I think I'd leave the cistern off. So, I mean, I think for now that's what my motion to approve.
I'll second your motion.
So we've got a motion and a second. Can we get a vote? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
No.
We had Dot against, the rest of us. The motion passes. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Now we're ready for new business. Actually, items of business, which is the meeting protocol procedures. And I believe I brought this up and then decided to take off for a couple months.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
What is your motion,
I
Doc?
assume everybody has read the existing procedures. I'm going to say that my motion is to ask our chairman to create a small committee to create a new set of procedures, or at his discretion, to ask staff to provide a proposal that we can review and consider at the next meeting, and that we not proceed with the existing meeting protocol procedures. That's my motion.
I'll second that motion and then make an amendment to the motion that we also, as part of that, have staff take this off the website.
I'll accept that amendment as a friendly amendment, and we'll integrate that into my motion. If you'll integrate that into your second.
Yes. All right. Anybody need any discussion on this? We know what we're doing. All right, sounds good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody against? Nope. All right. No opposed? Nope. Carries. All right, that takes care of our items of business. Any new business?
Move we approve. Move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Second, move to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Done deal. Next month.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.